Hey there, and welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas, and this is Holly. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to make such a beautiful crochet Christmas pom-pom hat. It's super easy to make, very simple pattern, beginner friendly. It has a beautiful pom-pom on top. It's your perfect companion for Christmas season, and it works for everyone, even someone with a big head like me. But before we start, let's take a sec to like this video and subscribe to my channel. We appreciate it. Santa does too. He sees everything. Ho ho ho, let's get to it. Alright, let's do this. In order to make such a beautiful Christmas pom-pom hat, there's a few things you need. First up, the yarn. You need 2 skeins of Christmas red yarn. I'm using the basic soft acrylic DK from Rico. It's 50 grams, 155 meters, and the hook size is indicated in the back. They say you need a hook number 4, and you need a white. I used the Rico Baby Classic DK, also from Rico, and here they say the hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeters. I know those two yarns are not the same, as you can see, but they still work together, and I couldn't get this one in white, so I just take a similar yarn that I can use with almost the same hook size. Then, besides the yarn, of course, you need some scissors. You need a 4 millimeter crochet hook. You can probably not see it. It says 4 millimeters. And for the sewing part, you need a tapestry needle. You can use all kinds of tapestry needles. I recently bought those, where they have like this loop at the end to pull the yarn through. You can also use any kind of needle as long as the end loop here is wide enough to put the yarn through. And for our pom-pom, which is the last step of this tutorial, you might need a pom-pom maker. There are a few of them on the market. If you don't have them, and this is also the way how I'm going to show you this, is by using 2 toilet papers. And I'm sure you have them somewhere in your home, so get them. We need 2 of those. Let's start with those 2. We start with the red and then continue with the white. As you can see, it's all crocheted in one go. So we start with the red and then switch to the white before turning, and then it's the same stitch and this, throughout all the rows. And what helps in terms of finding the right size would be if you get a beanie that you already have. This is from my shop, from last year's winter collection, and this beanie fits me very, very well. So I use this as a reference for the size to see how long my row should be. And like this, I calculated already that I need 60 loops on each row. And in order to separate those two, it's about 2/3 of red and 1/3 of white. So I was using 42 stitches of the red and then 18 of the white, so that in the end, when you like flap it over, you don't see any red coming through. And this is what we do now. Let's start with the red. So there are two ways of working with the yarn. You can work the yarn from the outside. What I personally think is much easier and more comfortable to work with would be to take the yarn from the inside, and to get it you have to like get in there and pull out the yarn that's in there like this and get the end part. I can see it, but like this I have some yarn already. Alright, so I have the end of the yarn. We start by making a loop. You cross the yarn like this, and then you go in and take this part of the yarn and just pull through until you create a knot. And this is already the first loop, which you can then put on your crochet hook and secure it. And you're good to go. As I said before, we need a total of 60 stitches and 42 in red and then 18 in white. And we start then with the chain of red, the 42. So you yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So now those are my first 4 stitches, my chain 4, and you just continue until you have 42. Alright, so this is my chain of 42 red stitches. Now just leave it here and we take the inside of the white yarn to continue with. Let's see. Sometimes you're very lucky by getting the yarn easily out, and sometimes you get like this bulk of yarn. In this case I got the end part very quickly. So now we change from red to white, and we do this very easily. We just leave the red yarn, you put the white yarn just on your hook and pull it through. You can tie it a bit, the red one, and then you leave the end part of the white and you can just continue, and you see it looks identical. Do it again. So what we basically do, we leave the red yarn as is, we take the white one, put it on your hook and just go through that last red loop. You can tie it up a little bit by pushing on the red yarn just to secure it a bit, and then you leave the end part of the white, and from here you just continue. 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So this is now our chain of 60 stitches. If you want to, you can compare again with the beanie you had, just to be sure. All right, so to continue, we are now making a chain, and then we are going to single crochet into that back loop. As you can see, there's always like 2 loops for each stitch, and we are only going to single crochet into the back loop like this. Put it in, you yarn over till you have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and go through both of them. Again, take the back loop, you yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and go through 2 loops. Take the back loop, yarn over, pull through, go through 2 loops. Back loop, single crochet, 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 All right, so we reached the end. There's 1 stitch left in white, which is this one here. So you go in, get the yarn through, and then you are going to take the red one to switch it and pull it through both loops, single crochet. Now the first one is always a bit tricky to find. It's right here. This is the first back loop. So you get it in. Now we continue with the red. You pull through and then single crochet. And then, as we did before, in the back loop and single crochet, in the back loop, single crochet, all the way till the end, all 42 of those red stitches, and I'll meet you there. So there's only 1 stitch left, which is right here, and this will finish our first round, just like this, and this is how it looks like. Now, what you have to know about this pattern or the stitch is that by changing the color, the yarn gets twisted at some point, as you can see here. So I would suggest that you always turn the work after each round and untangle it, because otherwise it might get a bit messy. So we are at the end of round 1, and each round ends just exactly the same way. So we chain 1, and then we continue again in those back loops with single crochets, always in the back loop. The longer your work gets, the easier it gets to grab those back loops, because then you have something to hold on. And as you can see already, this always going into the back loop creates this ruffled effect that I absolutely love, because it gives the whole piece such a nice structure. And as I said, once you have a few rounds, you get the full effect. And how it will look like. So again, we make 42 red single crochets before switching to the white, and I'll meet you there. So now there's only 2 stitches left before we then continue with the white. So the last red stitch is right here, and again you get the red yarn, you leave it, and then you take the white yarn from the front and pull it through the red loops like this. And then again, this first loop is a bit tricky. It's right here. This is the first back loop, and then we continue with a single crochet, and this time in white are 18 stitches. Always remember to count at some point, so you check yourself, because it's so easy to miss a loop or a stitch. So always count those stitches. And make sure you got them all. Always the back loop. I'm going to show you again. So here you have like those 2. Then you just take the back loop and make a single crochet, back loop, the back loop, and the second to last. The last one sometimes can be a bit difficult to see. It's right here. Here it is. And it's the end of the row. We turn by chaining 1. Then again, we go into those back loops right here and single crochet. And this is basically how it continues right till the end. It's always single crochets. It's a chain 1 when you turn, and when you change the color, you get into the stitch in the back loop, pull the yarn through, have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over with the next color and pull through. that's basically it. So it's a very, very simple, crochet pattern. So it's perfectly for beginners. Two more in white. And again, here's the last white loop. Go through, take the red yarn, pull it over, and pull through both white loops. And then we continue with the red. Here's the loop, the back loop from the first red single crochet, and then over and continue. And I will meet you at the end of round 2. So when I say round, I mean like one way to the one side and then back to the other side equals 1 round. And I'm going to show you in a bit how you can see or how you can identify the rows you made. But I'll show you in a bit. So we are at the end of round 2. There's 1 stitch left, which is again a bit hidden. It's right here. Pull through and single crochet. So this is round number 2. And as you can see, you create those little bumps here. And every single bump means it's a round. I'll show you again on this. So each of those stripes is 1 round. So one way from red to white and then back from white to red is always 1 round. And this is now how you continue. Again, if it's tangled up like this, you can see it here. Before starting the next round, just untangle it so you have both strands of yarn separated. And I'm going to do round 3 with you together, and then you're good to go. So we chain 1, and then single crochet into the back loop like this. And then again we have 42 red stitches in total. And if you want to, you can press pause and I'll meet you when we change the color. So we're always at the point where we change the color from red to white. So go into the back loop, get the yarn, and then take the white one, put it over it, and pull through, and then continue with this first white back loop, and continue with the single crochets in the back loop of the previous round. Almost at the end. There's 2 more left. So even if you're thinking like this was the last one, it wasn't. There's always this last one that plays a little hide and seek. And again, chain 1 and then single crochet into the back loop, two more, and the last one to change the color. And in the back loop of the first stitch in the red color, and again single crochets in the back loop all the way till the end, and I'll meet you there at the end of round 3, almost at the end of round 3. And again, always watch out for this last loop here. Here we go. So 3 rounds, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 rows. So you always know which round you're in. And this is how you continue. In order to get like the pom-pom hat like I made it, you have to get, or you have to do 50 rows in total, 50. I know what you might be thinking. How in the hell am I going to do this? But just take your time and then come back to this video to finish your hat. Grab a cup of tea, grab the yarn, the hook, and onto the couch and have fun crocheting this. And you'll see those 50 rounds will go very, very quickly. The more rows you're doing, and I'll meet you there. Have fun and see you at round number 50. All right, and here we go. I just finished round 50 of our Christmas crochet pom-pom hat. It looks so pretty, very Christmassy. The pattern is just beautiful. Some people wouldn't even think that it's crochet, but it is. And we can again test the size. And that shall do. As I told you before, the pattern itself is very, very stretchy. So it should definitely fit, even a bigger head like mine. If you need a smaller size or you want a smaller size, always compare with a beanie that you have and take this as a measurement. If you need it smaller, then just have, I don't know, 44 or 42 rows. And of course, you can always wrap it around your head to see if it works. But since it's very stretchy, it definitely should work. So the next step would be to bring those ends together into one. To finish the round before, I just make another chain. And then what we'll do is basically to single crochet along this, again using the back loops here, and then you have to find the first loop here, and in this case we go through both of them. You can ignore this part here. Later on it won't be visible. So we single crochet exactly the same way that we did before. Like this. And again in the back loop, and then we go through both loops here and single crochet. Again in the back loop, and then go through both loops on this side and single crochet in the back loop, and in the next stitch on the other side, and single crochet in the back loop, it gets a bit easier while going on. And to be honest, if you miss one, especially from those two in the back, it's not that wrong. But most of the time the crochet hook finds its way in the back loop and through both loops, single crochet. So I will meet you when we arrive this part here, where we then change the color for the last time, then cut off the red yarn and crochet the white yarn right till the end. All right, so I have one red stitch left to work in, and then we're going to change the color for the last time. So we do it exactly the same way like we did it before. Let's just do it again. So in the back loop, then go through both loops on the other side. If only I could find them. I have them. Now yarn over, go through the 3 loops on your hook until you have those 2, and then take the white yarn from the top and pull it through like this. Then the white continues, and the red we can just leave it. And then we are doing exactly the same thing like we did for the past 50 rounds, basically. Continue with the single crochet in the back loop through both loops, in the back loop through both loops, in the back and through both. And the last one. And here we go. So we crocheted both parts together, or the front and the back. And next we're going to cut the red yarn off. And this part here, where we have like the beginning end of the white and the last end of the red, what we can do now is to just make a knot. Don't pull it too tight. But like this, it's secured. And what we should do now is to decide which side is the good side. What do I mean by that? Is that sometimes, you've probably seen it, there's like this irregular parts in the yarn, which sometimes happens. Or here, maybe you can see it. And usually I tend to like just leave it in. I mean, I could cut off the yarn and start a new line with a new part of yarn, but usually I leave it as it is. And then in this case, it's pretty easy because we have like an inside and an outside. So I just flip it the way that the pretty part, where there are no bumps, is on the outside, and the bumps are all hidden on the inside. So as you can see here, this last row here, where we like crochet them all together, stands a bit out. It doesn't matter. I mean, most caps do have like a front and a back, so this is obviously the back. And what we're going to do is to now first make a little border for the white, if you want to, mainly because the pattern itself, it's a little bit wavy in the end, which is completely fine if you want to keep it like this. Personally, I prefer like a little border around it, and this is what we do. So if you want to leave it as is, feel free to leave it. Otherwise, follow me along for the border. So I leave it as is, like fold it over. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to alternate between half double crochets and single crochets. And whenever there is like these holes here, I go in them and make the half double crochet. And on each other part, like this, I make a single crochet in it. So it balances out this waviness. So let's do it. So we are starting here with a half double crochet. I'll show you how to do it. You yarn over, put your hook in that hole, get the yarn from the back. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You yarn over and go through all loops. Next up is a single crochet. So we go into this loop here at the top and make a single crochet. Then we have like this hole again. So yarn over, put your hook into the hole, yarn over, get the yarn from the back, 3 loops on your hook, and go through all 3 of them. Then we have a single crochet, then another half double crochet, yarn over, get into the hole, yarn over, go through the hole, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3 of them. Next up, again, single crochet and half double crochet, single crochet and half double crochet, and I will meet you in at the end of the border. Okay, so we reached the end of the border. There's one half double crochet left, this one here. So there's one stitch left, which is right here, right before we started our round with single crochets and half double crochets, and we are going right in there and make a slip stitch, get the yarn through like this, and then we can cut the white yarn and just make a chain to secure it like this and pull it tight, and like this you have a nice and neat border, no more bumps. Perfect. So next step is that we are going to sew in those loose ends from the border part and those two, and for that we need a tapestry needle, and I recommend you to get one, and they come in different forms. You can also use like a regular needle. Just make sure the hole in the end is big enough to get the yarn through. And now I show you how to sew those ends in. As some of you know, I absolutely don't like sewing, uh, but it's a must. There's no way around it. So for the white part, because it's a flap, we are going to sew the end in from the back so it won't show afterwards. And what you would do is to sew it in into that last round of single crochets where we like put both ends together and just go through the yarn like this from the one side and then go back again. You can always like push also a bit through the yarn because that holds it. Here we go. The first yarn end has been sewn in. You can barely see it. And for those two, we are going to take them to the other side because we want to have them like on the inside. So I get the yarn and just pull it in. Now I lost it. This happens, especially when you don't like sewing like me. Here we go. And the red one Then we can turn our work and sew it in just like we did before with the white. I will take this row here and just go through some. This. Don't pull it too tight because you don't want to have it ruffled in the end. And I'm going back a few stitches like this to secure it, and then I can cut the red yarn. And now I'm doing the same thing with the white, and then we survive the sewing. I'll just take this. Sometimes the yarn doesn't want to, so I leave it. It's just like my dog Holly. She doesn't want to. I just let her be. It's a bit tighter here, but that should hold the yarn just fine. And we go back a few stitches like this, pull it through and cut the yarn. Yes, the sewing is done, or almost, because now we come to the fun part, or at least I think it's the fun part. It's like putting the top part together, and then comes the super fun part, the pom-pom. So we could use the red yarn, but instead we're going to use the white yarn, just because the pom-pom is going to be white, so we can then like knot the ends all together with the pom-pom, and then you don't have to do any sewing. And for those red ends here, let's see, if you do have something like this where it's like where you had to change the yarn ball in between your work, just make sure that you have it knotted together. This one was like our beginning, so we can leave it because it's already like crocheted in, and in the end we can then push those to the inside and just cut them off. We make another knot, but I'll show you. But now let's start by getting a bigger piece of the white yarn. Take the tapestry needle again, and then we are going to go through all those top loops here. You can take more than just the top loop if you want to. You can also like take those loops in between. I basically use the same loops like when we did the border on the white end for the single crochets, and here I just go through all of them. gets a bit tight, just push the yarn through. Almost there. And here we are. This is where we started. This is where we are now. So we can put those red ends in. Okay. Push the yarn through. And now comes the fun part, because now we are going to just push on those white ends here, and then it goes all together. And you already then have like a regular beanie. So if you don't like a pom-pom, this is how you would do it. I'm going to pull it as tight as it goes, and I'm going to like cut off the extra yarn here. And then what you want to do is to like make a knot, make it as tight as you can, because afterwards there's going to be the pom-pom over it and you won't see. I would just make a double knot just to be sure, and just like that you have a beanie. Now before we continue, let's go quickly to the other side here and make a few more knots of those red yarns here, like this, and you can then cut them off. Turn it, and here's the beanie. Here you can always see like the back part, but to be honest it doesn't really show that much, so each side can be the front. So there are actually multiple ways on how to do a pom-pom, and there are like hundreds of tutorials on YouTube. There are pom-pom makers like this, where you then wrap the yarn around those pieces here, or there's pom-pom makers that look like this. So you wrap it around here or there, depending on the size where you want to have it. But something that every one of you has in your home and that we can perfectly use for a pom-pom is actually cardboard from toilet paper. Mine sounds strange, but it does work, and it's super easy. Everyone has it. So for all of you that don't have like a specific pom-pom maker, I'm going to show you how to make your pom-pom with those. Let's do it. So there's a bit of the white yarn left. Let's see if it will be enough. So what we do, you take the two cardboard rolls like this and put the yarn over it, and then just wrap around at least 200 times. I won't count, I just make it as I think. The more fluffy you want your pom-pom to be, the more yarn you should wrap around, and just make sure to go all the way from the left to the right and back. All right, I just leave it like this. It gets tangled up. So here's how it looks like. And what we now have to do is to like get a bit of that tangled up yarn. Cut it. Don't need it anymore. And then you take the yarn, you go through like this, and then go back. Now, before we do that, because it got very, very big, just make a knot as strong as you can, and another one from the other side. I know it gets a bit tricky, but now what we have to do is to like get those toilet paper cardboards out slowly. So you still have that knot here. It's like a little package. And then you just press it as much as you can. Maybe do another one. All right, so this is now how it looks like, and you might now see how this would actually end up being a pom-pom, because now all you have to do is to like cut through all of those loops, try to grab them all, it's completely fine if you don't get like all of them at once. I would say it's impossible to get them all. And once you're done with one side, of course, you can do it on the other side as well. Let's see, I probably missed a few of them, but it doesn't matter. Now it already looks like a typical pom-pom. Here there are a few more. You can always like go through the yarn a bit just to check if you have them all. The only thing we have to do now is to shape the pom-pom a bit, because like this it won't look like a typical pom-pom. So we are going to play hairdresser. Those of you who are hairdressers, it's an easy task for you. For everyone else, it's like a fun, messy thing to do. And because it is a bit messy, I'm going to get myself a glass bowl. It can be any kind of bowl. Actually, it doesn't have to be glass. And then I'm going to shape the pom-pom. So all the cut-offs are going directly into the ball, into the bowl, and not all over the place. Trust me, I've done this a few times, and the first times have been like a total mess. And with each cutting round, it gets rounder and rounder, and you get the typical pom-pom shape. Looks nice. And here you see the yarn salad of cut off yarn. I will just like so. We have our big, very voluminous pom-pom. This. And we have our loose ends here. And what we just do is to like tie it together. And don't worry when there are like some of those like stuck in the knot. It's not that big of a problem, but just make a few knots to secure it, and then you can basically cut them off, and they are part of the pom-pom. So again, your Christmas pom-pom beanie is done. As I said you before, when you then find some more spots that are sticking out in the next couple of days, or while wearing it for the first time for the Christmas market, or voila, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful crochet pom-pom hat with me, and wear it with pride always. Have a wonderful Christmas season, and who knows, for the next time, maybe then Holly gets a hat too. See you next time. Only at the Totally First Crochet channel.